Welcome back. Well, Midwesterners have a good reputation. We're known for being nice, and that's a great thing, right? But at work, being the nice guy doesn't always pay off.
Our next guest says the desire to keep the peace instead of offering honest feedback can lead to confusion and mistrust. So joining us now is Beth Ridley. She is a leadership expert and workplace culture consultant. And today she's got tips with what we can do differently without being rude, because that's everybody's fear, right? Good to see you.
Yeah. Hi,
Beth.
Good morning. Good morning.
At least you hope it's everybody's fear. Maybe not everybody's, but talk about what you mean about Midwest nice and Midwest nice at work.
Yeah, it's really about avoiding conflict and discomfort. And so I think, we want to be polite and agreeable, but sometimes so much so it errs on the side of being dishonest.
Yeah.
Right? So common scenarios would be, you say, oh, everything's fine, but in your mind, it's really not.
Yes.
Or you water down feedback so much that it actually has no more meaning. Or you're in a meeting and maybe you have a different point of view, but you don't say anything in the meeting, but then you talk about it outside of the meeting. So it's those, and I have to say, we call it Midwest nice because we live in the Midwest. But you know what? I lived in New York City for 10 years, and they do it there too. So it's all about avoiding conflict. We just have like a nice word for it, but another word for it is just avoiding conflict.
Yeah. They were probably Midwesterners who were transplanted to New York.
Probably. Probably.
So when you say we're Midwest nice at work, you're talking about that avoidance of conflict, and probably it's a desire to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
So the problem is that you're not if you're not being as honest, it might lead to distrust, right?
It can lead to a lot of frustration. I mean, it feels good to be polite in the moment, and again, avoiding that discomfort. But at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be making the best decisions as a team if nobody speaks up with a different point of view, and that can come to bite you afterwards. Then you might have to do rework. And then also think about it. A lot of times, like if you don't say something to someone to their face, but then you talk about it afterwards, it can get back to them, and that can really sour relationships. And those are hard to mend.
Yes, that is hard to mend. Good point. So what should teams do differently then?
The truth of the matter is, I think sometimes this is so ingrained in us, you can't just be like, speak up, nobody's going to do that. So I think leaders just have to sort of set the expectation in meetings that, sort of normalize giving honest feedback and saying things like, at the end of every meeting, hey, are there any other concerns that we haven't addressed? And sort of normalize that. Or even say, I'm looking for honest feedback, what can you share? And so if you say that enough, people start to believe it, and habits can start to change.
The problem, I think, is when people are encouraged to do that, and I've seen this. So people speak up, they share their honest opinion, and maybe it's negative, and then there's some retribution for it. Maybe that person, it backfires. People ignore you, or that feedback really isn't welcomed, or it's not addressed, and so you feel like you put yourself out,
what's the
point? There's no payoff.
Exactly. So I think the first thing to do is actually just listen and try to avoid reacting, right? To make it a safe environment for people to want to speak up. But I think it's nothing that's going to change right away. I think the best thing that you can do is bring awareness to the issue, because it could be so ingrained in us, we're not actually aware of these patterns or the impact that it has. So I think even just pausing and saying, I want to make sure when we're together that we're focusing on being kind, but also not to the point where we're being dishonest. And a really common question to ask is, have you ever felt that you're in a meeting where you wanted to say something, but you didn't say it in the moment? And what's been the impact of that? So you're not blaming anybody, but you're just gently creating a safe environment for people to reflect and bring awareness to it as the first step.
Yeah, there's a lot more dialogue in that scenario. So give us some simple steps you can try this week. If you want to start to maybe work your way towards being less Midwest nice to see if it can bring results, but maybe you're not ready to go all in. What are some steps you can take towards it?
Yeah, I would say sort of call it out, right? Say, I saw this segment on the Morning Blend. And just say, I'd like to just check in, 10 minutes, every time that we meet to make sure, are we, being honest, but also still being kind and respectful, and to ask those questions like, what do you notice about our behaviors, and why do we not not speak up. And again, bring awareness to it. And then gently you can say, well, if these are the impacts that are happening, what are some things that we could do to change? And I think, people will have ideas, and if they have ideas, it's more likely to stick because, it came from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's okay to switch things up. Like, I love your suggestion here. Like, just pick one meeting this week and say, I want to make sure we're not being polite at the expense of being clear and honest. Set the table for that.
Yes.
And kind of say, I want to try something new because I don't know if I'm getting, the full scoop here.
Yes.
And I want to really make this great, whatever the project you're working on, or a conversation that's coming up. I want it to really be great. So please give me the clear and honest communication about it.
And consistency is key, right? So this is not going to resonate with everybody on day one, but consistently, constantly asking, are we being honest? What more we could do in every meeting? And I think we'll eventually see it shifting.
Yeah, that's good. I know you've got this complimentary conversation guide too, so we're going to give a little QR code for that.
Yes, or go to ridleyresources.com to get the complimentary guide that you can use.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Good
Beth.
stuff, Beth.
Yeah.
So if you'd like a complimentary 10-minute conversation guide, it can help your team move from Midwest nice to that clear, honest, and kind conversation. You can scan the QR code on your screen, or you can visit our website. It's ridleyresources.com.